And hello viewers, and welcome to a very rainy day at TERMAS, the RIO HONDO. And as always, joined by none other than WMDR Martin.
Greetings.
And yeah, absolutely torrential rain tonight around this 4.8 kilometer circuit. And I mean, these cars are skittish enough as they are. Mix of rain, I think we're definitely going to be seeing some sideways action tonight.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, just looking at this very British-Belgian-esque weather, it's going to take a lot of car control to be quick around here and not die. And we've got a lot of fast people out here, so we're going to see folks pushing the limits as we're seeing someone with their wipers but not their lights on. That's going to be interesting to see if people keep on trying that in the race.
Yeah, indeed. I'm just quickly cutting it because some of my software doesn't seem to be working. So just a couple technical difficulties and then we'll hopefully be up and running. But yeah, currently the drivers though just out on their outlaps and not too much going on. But we might see some drivers slip or maybe some drivers swap positions knowing who's faster. I mean, I know from watching currently as well, watching Ultimate K's, who was the quickest in the practice session, I believe 2 tenths ahead of Matt's VR46. So whether he's going to be able to potentially look for a win tonight, I mean, it's normally been Matt's and Gillis looking for the wins. But let's have a look at our last winners, which, yeah, Gillis, well, funny enough, in round 1, Gillis Hammond winning both races, but currently not setting a lap time, as I think he is now going onto his hot lap. So let's see, and let's actually see if I can fiddle with, I think I can fiddle the oh, can I? Yes, I can. Let's make this look a bit more cinematic.
Well, hold on, looks like I gotta get my vote in too. We've already got 410 points on the line.
Yeah, it seems that very close between the safety car though. Only 10-point difference between people saying there is going to be a safety car in race 1 and there isn't going to be a safety car. Or 40. Is that your vote by any chance?
I have the right to remain silent.
So yeah, 250 saying yes, there is going to be a safety car, and 210 points saying there isn't. I mean, with this sort of weather, I'm guaranteeing that we're going to see some carnage, but I don't think we're going to be able to see the cars actually get up to that fast pace to the point where the contact's going to be big, essentially, as we see there's a car wide down. Is that going to put off Gillis at all? They stay wide and let Gillis through, going through probably one of the most difficult sections of the track here, as it puts your car quite a bit off camber, and then through this very long left-hander. You know for a fact you're going to want all the throttle control here, everything that you can muster, because you don't want to overstep it and end up losing that rear end and heading into the second biggest braking zone of the course, going into the penultimate corner, which then switches.
Now, I do actually wonder though, this track is very much soaking wet, so are people still going to have the advantage of being able to set quicker lap times at the start of the session or not? Like, is it going to get any worse than this?
I mean, I know for a fact that in AMS2 that there's definitely, you can start with some wet weather conditions, but you are completely correct there, where maybe the rain could be getting worse and worse as the session goes on. But who knows with AMS, it could be getting even better. I mean, we've seen these conditions and how inconsistent they are, as Gillis almost losing the car there through that right-hander.
Yeah, definitely on the limit there on the exit. Pretty important on that part of the track. It leads on to the longest straight, so that's where you're going to be hitting the highest speeds, and if you just don't get that acceleration done quickly enough, you're going to be losing time down the entire bit of it. As it goes quite deep, they're losing lots of time.
Yeah, definitely taking a wide line, but maybe that wide line might give him a better exit onto this corner. I believe that's the car of Svi up ahead, which is one place behind him. So whether that could also cause some traffic for the current championship leader, we will have to see. But it seems that...
Also, just want to mention Keza is on provisional pole, and Matt's 3/10 behind. He's gone into the pits, so that's... if the track's going to get any worse, that is the best conditions over for Matt's now, so it's going to be a challenge to beat that lap.
Yeah, indeed. As we head round this long left-hand corner, you can just hear Gillis not going full throttle, just trying to feather it. Ooh, very, very laggy. I don't know if that was on yours or my side. I think it might be my side, so I do apologise if that is so.
Yeah, I think that was because I changed the camera in your game. Didn't quite like that too much, but he's about to cross the line now. Previous time 154.5. This lap was slower. He has not improved.
Yeah, 1.5 seconds behind the pace. I mean, compared to last race, where the top 10 were pretty much within a second of each other, this is the complete opposite, where the top 4 are within a second of each other, and then the top 5 is 1.5 seconds out. And who would have guessed that it was Gillis Homan as well, who would be 1.5 seconds out from the leader.
In the meantime as well, we've got Ellie in P18 a whole 44.5 seconds behind the lead, so I don't quite think we have a 107% rule in this league, but maybe it's time to introduce one of those. As Gillish goes into the grass and gets sent to the Shadow Realm, so we're going to go on board with Ultimate K as our current provisional pole sitter.
Yeah, I am curious to see what lines he is taking, and whether potentially, especially into this corner, whether a deep line might be better, or maybe more of a shallow line. As we do watch him, he does get the braking absolutely nailed, and he does take that more shallow line compared to what we've seen with Gillis, where he took a more deep line to get a better exit. Though Ultimate K is still getting that great exit. Does have traffic ahead, so he might have to contend with that.
Yeah, I mean, from my experience on this track so far, which is limited, I'll admit, but going deep into that hairpin is extremely pointless, because even if you take it a bit more tightly, you're essentially still taking the same line. So if you go deep into that one, it's purely because you've outbraked yourself, and then you're effectively just kind of extending the track a bit.
Yeah, indeed. And, you know, with how close this competition is...
Case is backed off his lap.
Matt's as well, 3/10 up. I wonder, looking at the delta, as hopefully we might see that soon. Oh, when he's lost the rear of the car.
Well, I think that says a lot about his delta, so we'll move on to Veilside, see how he's doing.
Yeah, Veilside, Matt's teammate, was unable to be in most of preseason, but they've shown their worth in the actual races that have come. So whether he's one to look out for, we haven't seen too much racing compared to the other drivers, whether he might be one to actually look out for and actually battle for this top position tonight.
Yeah, Veilside's traditionally been one of the faster drivers, so I expect regular top 5 finishes from him. He's currently P3, up by about a 10th on this lap, but it's not going to be enough so far to dethrone his teammate Mats from P2. Or Keza, who's almost 4/10 further up the road. Pretty busy on track though, so you don't quite want to get too close to people, because yeah, I mean, on this track it's pretty easy to outbrake yourself, and in the rain with dirty air it's even more difficult, I would think.
Yeah, something I do have to quickly mention, in all matter of fact, is going out of turn 9 and...
Oh, he does beat Mats! That was a massive improvement in the final sector.
Up by over 3/10, incredibly well. He must have had an absolute slapper of a third sector to gain that much time there.
Absolutely, and looks like that's going to be the best of those tires as he goes back into the pits. We got about 5.5 minutes left in this session. K's is still on provisional pole with a 153.05.
Yeah.
And only 3 people within that 1 second time bracket. So it seems like a lot of people are kind of stranding at the 1.5 second mark, including Gillish.
Something I do have to, in fact, mention is when I was overhearing some practice between some drivers were very much as surprising as this may seem, we're complaining about these wet weather tires overheating.
Overheating, interesting. I mean, you typically expect that from a track that's maybe not wet enough, as Cuckoo has a wonderfully romantic moment with the barrier. But yeah, this is a very, very wet track, so you'd expect the wet tires to have enough water to kind of cool them a bit. But yeah, not sure what could be causing that. If any among you are some V8 supercar specialists, then feel free to let us know. But yeah, some nice drifting going on among the faster drivers.
Yeah, I mean, I've once again spoken to some of the drivers, and some of them, especially from last race, saying sometimes the quickest way to drive this car is to genuinely slide it. So we might see some sliding action. We might think, oh god, they're losing time by sliding the car, but sometimes it's genuinely quicker to take.
I mean, I'm sure it is, but this game is a lot less forgiving when it comes to sliding cars than some other sims out there, and particularly in the rain. I don't think that's going to make holding on to a slide any easier, so I'd say in these conditions it's bound to be all the more impressive, as Gillish now has improved his time, but he's just 1 millisecond short of Mats in P3.
Something I have to quickly mention about these next two corners that Case is about to go is I've noticed, funny enough, that there is a puddle forming right there as we just go over, and I'm wondering, could that potentially catch some drivers out? I mean, it's not catching any out right now that we've seen, but if we're doing a half-an-hour race, that puddle is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So whether...
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have a lot of people driving through it, so maybe the live track will have a bit of an effect there, but yeah, if that gets too deep, that could be a massive eyesore for the drivers. And I do know some games, ooh, SK's there has a stylish finish, but not quite one for improving lap times. Yeah, there are some tracks, at least for instance in my PC2 experience, where the puddles got so big that you actually had to go off the track to avoid them.
Yeah, I think, was it Silverstone in the GT3s? I remember something along the lines of that when I was racing with MSR.
No, it was the Bugatti circuit. That's the worst one I can think of.
Was that in the Megans?
Yes, that
wasn't there.
I've had it in the Megans and in some other ones as well, but yeah, when it rains there, going onto that back straight, the beginning is always, it's safer to go on the grass, and same thing with Classic Hockenheim. If you've got a rain race there, you're gonna have puddles that cover the entire track, like every 20 meters on the straight, and you cannot go faster than 80k without spinning out.
Yeah, indeed, but luckily though, tonight we've got some drivers who hopefully won't be spinning, and I'm curious to think, how many commentators' curses are we going to be dishing out tonight, considering that how easy it is to spin, and how often we're going to be saying the word spin. It's
I can
inevitable,
really feel you're
I
doing
think.
your best to already start the curse there.
Yeah.
If you'd said that maybe a bit earlier when we saw, oh gosh, I think it was Matt who spun earlier, then we could have already had one curse tonight, but so far our slate is pretty clean, to say the least. Currently though, TP still really struggling in these cars. He's P21, the slowest of anyone to set a time,
And he is
31 seconds off the pace.
I will say he is 13.6 seconds up on his Delta as it currently stands. So if he gets this lap done, he could be up in the
He's still gonna be last, because Ghost is only 12 seconds off pole.
Let's hope that TP can improve then through this last sector. He's probably had a couple terrible sectors.
Oh, he's really taking a lot of puddle there too, going extra slowly, tiptoeing around to not lose the car. Of course, setups are open in this league as well, so maybe some people have gone for more of a wet weather setup, and others haven't. He does beat Ghost by just 0.6 and improves one position. Still 12.3 off the lead though, so both Keza and Veilside have come into the pits. That's the end of qualifying for them. Going back to Mats now, as I think, yeah, that was a big moment.
That was an absolute tank slapper that we just caught there. Absolute, he was completely drifting. Oh, and talk about drifting.
Yeah, I think the spinning counts as a curse there. I mean, we just saw 2 in a row.
Eddie now, P5, one of the quickest controller players and one of the quickest drivers in this league in general. You can see how his hands move. Not like your average wheel driver, that's for sure. And going into this final corner, there's a car ahead. Is that going to hinder Eddie as he comes round?
Oh, no, he's spinning.
Manages to dodge it. Can Eddie improve even with that car spinning in front of him? Very much.
It's doubtful.
Oh, there's a puddle
as well. Yeah, that's the end of qualifying for Eddie. So he's P5. Matt's the next fastest driver, still out on track. Currently in P7, 1.2 seconds off the lead. Really tightly sandwiched between Escher and Svi in P6 and 8. And yeah, really twitchy these cars in these conditions, but he's definitely got the potential to still improve on this lap. Only 10 milliseconds off of his PB so far.
Yeah, I mean, one of the main reasons...
Oh, never mind.
One of the main reasons that these cars are so skittish, especially in the rain, is because of that rear differential, that how it's locked into place and then you can't move it around. So once you start losing the car, it's as good as gone.
Yeah, so definitely don't quite want to play a hide and seek in these, as Fennec now coming into the final few corners. Oh, really having to do a lot of counter steer there to keep it on track and giving up before reaching the line, so I'm guessing that lap was not going to be an improvement, and that is the end of qualifying.
So it's going to be Ultimate K's taking pole for the race 1. Vilside 2 and a bit tenths behind. Matt in third place, three and a bit, very close. A millisecond behind is Gillis, Homan in P4. Then Eddie in P5, Escher P6, Max in P7, Svi in P8, Cuckoo in P9, Zumrock in P10, Fennec in P11, Wild Mammoth in P12. That's the name that I don't think I've seen. Exus in P13, Exevius in P14, Jell in P15, Trixer in P16, Trouble P17, Dina P18, TP No Control in P19, Shad in P20, Ellie in P21, and to finish off the rest of the grid, it's Ghost in P22.
Now, interestingly enough, looking at that lap data that we saw on screen for a brief moment, Sector 2 seems to generally be fairly even among the faster drivers, but what was more interesting than that is that the Sector 1 and 3 times were wildly different between several different people in the top 5. I mean, you had some people who were, I think Keza was particularly quick in Sector 1 along with one other person, and then they were quite slow in Sector 3 by about half a second compared to some other people, so that kind of evens out the pace between those. I think we're going to see some good racing if the sector times are going to be that different, because that means we're not really that likely to see a real train form. We're going to see people be faster in one sector, be slower in the other, and that's going to give plenty of chances to throw it up the inside of the people who are slower in whichever sector you're in.
Yeah, I mean, especially going into that tight hairpin in turn 5. That's going to be an absolute massive overtaking opportunity. But in these rain conditions, it's going to be so easy to lock up your tyres and just take out another car, which for those who would vote for a safety car, would very much be wanting to see tonight.
Yeah, I do wonder. I mean, we're currently working with a rolling start procedure, if I'm not mistaken, which probably does decrease the chances of a safety car. So future gamblers may need to take that into account. But we'll just have to wait and see how the start goes. It's still in pretty precarious conditions, as you can all see quite well, as we can go on board with Keza, who's not got his wipers on, and just look at that windshield.
Yeah, absolutely abyssal rain.
Abyssal?
That's definitely not the word then. Miserable. As the lights are going out.
Miserable or abysmal, I think those would both work, as we're getting underway for the formation lap now.
Yeah, Ultimate K's to lead this group of 22 cars away. And I think the main thing that drivers are going to be concerned about is getting that heat in the tyres. They're going to be driving around a cold circuit in these tyres, with these tyres. And as much as they might have been complaining about overheating, if they're driving this slow around the circuit, then they're definitely those tires are definitely going to cool to
someone's off. That is Ellie. Ellie has already gone off the track after turn 1 at pretty much safety car speeds. That cannot be a good sign.
Yeah, some drivers are already going too wide. They shouldn't be, unless we're racing. I hope we're not racing.
No, we're not racing at this speed. This is definitely safety car conditions as we're still on the formation lap, of course. I think some people, they're still going side by side because they started the formation that way. But yeah, according to procedure, the formation zone is at the end of the lap. So until then, try to keep it single file, folks, for those who are listening. And turn on your lights as well if you would. Don't have to turn on the wipers if you use chase cam, but keep those lights on so people can see you and not use you as an invisible braking marker.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to say it's going to help us in the commentary booth to spot those drivers. And hopefully we won't spot any flying off the track. But hopefully we'll watch some very close battles here on lap 1.
It appears I found one. Ellie also has not turned on their windshield wipers.
Unbelievable. Maybe Ellie using a different camera, I don't know, but it's definitely horrifying to see the inside of this car and the fact that it won't move its windscreen wipers. But as they're heading around, I think they might be now slowly getting into the formation zone as all the cars pass into the third sector, and they are in fact lining up 2 by 2. Ultimate K's pretty much stopped now on track as he waits for the queue to join. That's going to massively cool down his tyres. Yeah, what? Eddie having a little bit of a jiggle there. Hopefully that was a bit of lag. It looked awfully suspicious, I do have to say. But it looks like...
It looks like P2 is kind of more lined up with P3 rather than P1. So that may help Keza to get a bit of a head start. But we're underway now. Everyone's caught up. So we'll see if Veilside kind of... Where's that? Yeah, Veilside in P2. We'll see if he pulls up alongside Keza for the start a little bit more than what he has so far.
Yeah,
I definitely feel like the fish I had tonight have prepared me well for this very, very wet race.
Yeah, indeed. Hopefully we won't be fishing anyone out of the gravel pits, though, as they get ready to go green light racing. It's Ultimate K's to lead the way. When is he going to go? And it's green flag racing, and they're off. Ultimate K's getting an absolutely mega start, but Matt getting the jump on his teammate down the inside. These two teammates, hopefully they're not going to clash, but Matt instantly taking advantage of that bad start by Veilside. Veilside down to P3, and Eddie battling Gillis now for that P4 position, and it looks like there's a bit of contact behind with cars sliding into each other, but no.
Yes, Fee and Esh are really fighting hard. They're side by side from multiple corners. It is really difficult to give people space in these kinds of wet conditions, but they're somehow keeping it going. Great fighting there. Quickly checking up on Mats, though. How close is he to Keza? That is absolutely not the right camera. Not within braking distance, though. So we'll go back to trackside cam, see if there's going to be any moves down the inside. I think there is over here.
Yeah, there are. And I think, is everyone safely through? Has anyone tapped the rears of anyone? I think everyone, surprisingly, in this absolutely abyssal weather, making it cleanly through.
There was another abyssal there. Yeah, lots of action going on here. No one's died so far, so really great news. We're going 3 wide into this corner with one of the ghost cars and Cuckoo. I saw someone saying Cuckoo for the win. They're going to have a really tough battle currently in P11, but in a, I assume, an undamaged car, so looking good for now. The battle for the top positions, though, it seems like Keza is starting to drive away a bit. P3 is already a second and a half down. The first real fight that we're seeing is for P5 with Eddie and Svi. I think Svi's starting to get the better of Eddie now, but Eddie's still defending that spot.
Who's going to be the later of the breakers? Going into this penultimate corner. Very much a hairpin. It looks like Eddie able to defend that P5 position away from Svi. But can Svi get the better exit? And Eddie very much creating a train behind him. So whether this could also affect everyone's race, including Svi's behind him. It's all to be seen in these next 14 laps.
Looks like we've already had some big spinners. We have Jedlin in P21 and Ghost way down 28 seconds behind. Not sure if they had some sort of incident, but definitely spun those cars around. We have some really tight fights here, though. At least
Yeah,
according to the mini-map.
there is indeed a car boxing as we talk about that.
Oh yeah, that is Ghost in the pits now. Look at this though, this is a 3-car scrap between TP No Control, iTrixer, and Xevious for P16. As it stands, although Xevious not getting the best of exits there. Matt's still 7/10 behind the lead, so Kaiser really is starting to run away with this one. We'll just have to wait and see if it can keep that pace up consistently, as I think that's Trixer going down the inside now.
And has he pulled that move off, or can... I don't know.
He hasn't.
TP8...
The brick wall is not broken yet.
Yeah, I mean, TP is known for his absolute brick wall defense and proving it. Oh, very, very close between the drivers there. I thought Max was going to go into the back of TP there.
Hold on, breaking news. Max is within 3/10 of the lead all of a sudden. I think Kaiser may have made some sort of mistake, but still holds on to the lead.
Yeah, indeed, these two very, very close. None of them actually...
I think TP's had an incident. TP's facing the wrong way. Manages to get it pointed in the right direction, but that's a massive blow to his race. On lap 3 of 17, he has lost a good 10 seconds in that spin.
I mean, we didn't see it, but I'm curious if maybe there was a little shunt or something, or maybe he just lost it on his own. I don't know, as we see, whoa, very close between Dina, between Exus and Zumrock there. And Dina...
Yeah, it's moving closer on the straight as well. Maybe the puddles potentially bringing people a little too close together. As I think now trouble going on the outside of Zumrock.
Can he hold it? Very, very close. It looks like they're 3 wide coming out of the corner. Dina's got a terrible exit. And they're now going 2 wide into this next corner. Dina versus Zumrock. And Trouble very much in the background lurking. He wants those positions. These two are going to give each other a bad exit. Coming out of this corner. Oh, that's a spin by Dina. Dina's off into the gravel.
Luckily, though, I don't think anyone's going to be collecting him in that position as long as he rejoins the track safely, which I believe he is waiting for. So good on Diener. Thank you very much for keeping things safe. But yeah, very unfortunate there. He said they were going to have a bad exit, and that's pretty much the worst kind of exit you can have.
Yeah, completely agree with you. That was very much a worst case scenario right there. I mean, it looked as if Dina lost it on his own, but I'm wondering, was there maybe a bit of netcode there? Because the way his rear came out, it didn't look like he would have lost it though.
Well, I mean, going into that corner, I figured it would be impossible to not touch each other, and even though they didn't really touch on my screen, I think they definitely touched on someone's screen, which I don't think you really should have gone for a line like that. You really need to lose a lot of speed to hold the outside line around there without getting touched. So it's a bit of a self-inflicted wound, but potentially a racing incident.
Yeah, we'll let the stewards decide that on Thursday night. But for now, let's stick with the action at the top. Phoenix, Svi, and Eddie. Eddie still defending that position from Svi, and Fennec now on the pounce to try and make a position. That's a turned around car. Who's that? I think that's Ghost.
Oh yeah, Ghost is a lap down. That is not good at all. Go back to the Svi, Fennec, and Eddie fight though. Yeah, Eddie and Svi really shaping up to be a nice fight. I hope Eddie can keep this up because that's going to give us lots of stuff to watch. Richie Bug's in the chat though, trying to cheer on Diener. Yeah, not the best start for Diener, but they're still really close to TP, Max, and Ellie. So I'm guessing those are all the people that have spun so far. So at least they're not alone. They can have a fight for potential points if some people
I just mentioned
end up losing positions, and they're actually really switching positions now.
Yeah, someone who has to switch position is Zumrock as well, overtaking Exus. But let's stick with this fight, as that's Ellie, I believe, trying to take that inside line, and does so. But Max is holding it around the outside and is going to have a better line into this corner. We've seen 2 cars go through there before, and that's Ellie switching it back. And what a switchback there. What an absolute switchback.
Looks like a much better exit than what Max has. Sorry, I almost said Matt's there. And yeah, now they're all benefiting from that slipstream from TP, from the brick wall himself, and Ellie trying to make up for that not the best qualifying, but if they can all keep it on track, they can have a good fight in whatever position they are in. So high hopes for the races back here and at the front of the grid. Quickly gonna check what we have going on here. Fennec still close to Svi. And Eddie looking pretty comfortable.
Yeah, it looks...
Over here, we still got Cuckoo and Mammoth not too far apart. And Trouble has not let go of Zumrock yet either. So definitely battles going on up and down the grid.
I've got to say, yeah, Exus and Zumrock, as much as we haven't seen too much action between them, these two have been swapping positions like madmen over these last 2 laps. So, hopefully...
What, Exus and Zumrock have?
Yeah, Exus and Zumrock, and I think...
Oh, interesting, because Exus has kind of started to pull away from these guys now.
Yeah, I mean, last lap they swapped positions, and I think... I can't tell if I saw another position, but this battle for P5 is very...
This is side by side, though. It's again Zumrock, but this time with Trouble going around the outside, maybe losing the back end. Oh, he's gone deep.
He's barely kept it on the road.
Oh.
I mean, going into that corner, I saw those fronts completely lock, and I thought that's the end of his race. He's going off into the grass where it's completely icy. I wouldn't even say wet, complete ice. I mean, we know Automobilista. The grass is not grass. It identifies as ice because it is slippery as... yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you'd almost think that Trouble is using chase cam there with how much of the track he was utilizing. Every last millimeter, barely staying ahead of Xevious in the process. Also want to mention, though, Matt's once again within 4/10 of the lead, so it seems like Hayes has got the overall pace, but he keeps on making small mistakes, which brings Matt's back to within an overtaking position.
I mean,
gonna have to watch out.
That leads us to another entire thing, about this race. As much as Ultimate K's was quicker in qualifying and is still in first place, if he's not consistent, Mats is going to be able to just pass him just by staying consistent, not pushing too hard, and just staying behind Ultimate K's. And he could potentially lose the lead, Ultimate K's might, if he just makes silly mistakes.
Oh, as unfortunately we just lost Ghost, and I think Diener's had another spin, quickly double checking on that. He has, so that is unfortunate, but I think the car's fine. Track limits are not, though. As Matt's still behind Keza, as you mentioned, Keza's got to be consistent to keep these fast drivers behind him. Keza are 2-time champions so far in these AMS leagues. And yeah, pretty much yet to be defeated in quite some time for the actual standings, but Matt's this season seeming to be very, very competitive. Keza not currently leading the standings or even in the top positions. So he's got some work to do if he wants to bring back that title challenge, but it's all still very, very close. And Matt's opting to not stay in the slipstream.
I mean, we've seen this before in Ibarra, where he decided not to stay in the slipstream. And whether that was a tactic to maybe cool down his tyres, because as I mentioned earlier, you know, you got the problem with tyres overheating. Some of the drivers complaining about that.
Well, do tires really overheat in a straight? I feel like they wouldn't, but we have some more side-by-side action here. Cuckoo v Mammoth.
Mammoth in the inside in that Ghost livery. Cuckoo left outside to dry in this blue PB livery. I believe it says PB.
Outside to dry, I like that one. In these conditions.
But Cuckoo diving down the inside. Mammoth giving the space and giving a bit too much, as I think Mammoth unable, but Mammoth comes back. But Cuckoo's got now the inside for this crucial left-hand corner, and I think unless they get a terrible exit, they're gonna have P9 under their belt. And
it's definitely not over yet, though. I mean, Mammoth is practically pushing Cuckoo through that corner.
Going into one of the sharpest corners of the circuit. Heavy braking. Does Mammoth try around the outside? They're taking different lines going into the corner. Can Mammoth look for potentially another undercut? It doesn't look like they can. And it looks like Cuckoo has, in fact, made that overtake and is starting to make an ever so slight small gap, but that could easily be lost to a small mistake anyways.
Yeah, Mammoth kind of trying to go for different lines there, but in the final few corners, it's there's not really that many lines you can take to be fast there, so that gave Cuckoo a bit of an edge on the straight. Now struggling into turn 1 as well, so Cuckoo could well be on their way to go fight Escher up in P8, and from there on, it's about 4 seconds before there's another car, so they're going to need to really pick up the pace if they want to gain some more positions. We are on lap 8 of 17 now, so pretty much halfway through. Fight for the lead is still ongoing, although Mats has lost a bit of ground to Keza. Veilside not really too involved on this, 2 seconds down the road. Same for Gillish, which is very, very interesting. Gillish has not quite got the pace to keep up with these guys so far. But does it look like the rain's maybe easing a little bit?
Yeah, you're completely correct. And in a some sort of way, it seems as if the track might be drying up. I mean, the track doesn't actually look as wet as it was before, but that could just be the rain being a bit lighter. But that puddle still prominently there.
As we're getting word now from Ghost, who had to...
Oh,
hold on.
That's trouble
going
wide. And he's going to be on the extremely wet stuff. And Xevious is going to be making that move for P12. But can Trouble shove it back down the inside and get that move? It looks like Xevious just able to cut in front of him, going through the corner and able to secure that P12.
And I think Trixor behind probably just got past Jedlin as well,
Oh,
if I saw that correctly
off.
on the timing sheet.
Carve off, I believe that could be Jedlin. Or,
that is not... Wait, that is Shad. Has Jedlin left the session?
No, I think
here he is.
Yeah, I think Jedlin going a bit wide through those corners that we just mentioned.
Ooh, hold on. This fight's getting really spicy. Svi once again trying to overtake Eddie for P5.
This battle for P5 has been extremely close for most of the race. We haven't seen too much of it.
He's got the move done, but can he keep that position? They're about to go on a really, really long straight. If Eddie uses the slipstream here and gets a decent exit, he could fire it down up the inside again.
Oh, very. You can see Fennec as well looking for the move on Eddie. Eddie's going extremely defensive. In fact, pulling to the right. I wonder, does Fennec or anyone look for a move down the inside of each other? It's not to be, but that's Svi. Svi's gone deep, and that's going to leave him compromised to Eddie. But I think Svi just able to get the power on a bit better, but they're now even closer than they were before. Going into... Oh, it's very close as Fennec dives it down the inside. A very late move. But can he actually go for it and secure it? It looks like he has. What a move. Where did that come from?
Well, that was a little bit of a push to pass. They're completely unintentional, I'm sure, but I would be very surprised if that car does not have a little bit of aero damage now, as he's definitely smashed into the back of Eddie there. But, I mean... It's so easy to miss your braking point on this track because there's so many heavy braking points, and these cars are maybe not exactly optimized for this kind of track. So it adds to the challenge, and in these conditions in dirty air, under the stress of trying to make those positions after being stuck behind people for half the race so far, I can definitely understand how it happens. But now Fennec looking to make a move on Svi into turn 1.
Do you know what time I think it is? I think we go backwards cam and see if we can get some of this action from Svi's rear cam point of view. See if we can move the camera. Go on. Oh my god, yeah. Oh, and that's Fennec actually making the pass just as we switched that camera. As if... that was insane.
Yeah, it's, and now Eddie's trying to go for a move as well, not giving up on that position, but Svi's got the inside line. Eddie opts to stay behind and not use the slipstream once again.
Yeah, I've got to say, Fennec there got on the power like I've never seen a driver. Well, compared to the other two, it looked as if he was on a dry track there. He just accelerated.
Eddie going on the inside as Svi into the hairpin. He's potentially got the move done. It's really difficult to keep it around the outside there.
Yeah, that is move done, but can Svi potentially lunge it into turn 7? No, I think it's better
of it.
Cam
for the on-board as Fennec goes a bit deep now.
Oh, that's going to leave him compromised to Eddie, and it has. Eddie very much almost making a move there on Fennec.
That's interesting. On my screen, the contact between Fennec and Eddie has actually taken out Eddie's right rear light, but on your game, it still seems to be working.
Yeah, no contact, so maybe that was a bit of net code as well. We, after all, this is Automobilista.
That is very true, although it seems to be like these guys are maybe calming down a tiny bit, so I'll quickly double check on some other people real quick. These guys are not too close either. The
battle between Cuckoo and Mammoth is still... Oh, that's a spin!
Oh, and the car acting very strangely there, but luckily able to get it pointed in the right direction before losing too many positions. Are Cuckoo and Mammoth going to be able to pass him in their own fight, though?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, as they do pass him.
So that is really unfortunate for Speed because he was giving us some prime entertainment with that Fennec and Eddie fight. Don't always get rewarded for those kinds of efforts, but it's definitely appreciated seeing the hard but fair racing that we're seeing tonight.
That's
ooh, Mammoth going very deep into that corner, almost touching Cuckoo.
No, I'm facing backwards.
No.
There we
go.
But yeah, extremely close. And now I'm curious though, as much as you said we've lost a bit of action, oh, but there's definitely some more action. That looked like a bit of potential blocking there. I think they almost ran into the side of each other.
Ooh, controversy.
Oh, both drivers going a bit wide there. And I wonder, is that going to leave him also compromised to Svi? Because Svi, definitely a quick driver. And, well, in qualifying, he showed that he had the pace to be quicker than both of these drivers ahead of him. And with that one spin, can he make it up? Oh, that's Mammoth down the inside, but he's completely overshot. And that's going to be Cuckoo trying to launch back and undercut him to keep, well, to retain that P8 position. And they are going to be able to.
Yeah, that was an absolutely wild lunge, but went off of outside of track limits there, so definitely cannot keep that position. As Svi has had a moment, he's all the way down in P11 now, so didn't quite catch what happened there, but now Svi and Xevious, two teammates together on track, but outside the top 10.
Yeah, very unfortunate for those two teammates, but yeah, Eddie and Fennec, these two have been close all race pretty much, as well as Svi, but sadly Svi making that mistake. I wonder, is Eddie gonna be able to repass Fennec for that P5 position?
Hold on, Svi's gone wide again in the same corner, so not a spin this time, but definitely kind of gone wide there, maybe hit a puddle.
I'm curious, are tires potentially going off? Because we're seeing a lot more of rear spinning and a lot more drivers seem to be taking it easy, a bit more slower. I think also at the top, it looks like Gillis and Veilside very close at the front there.
Oh yeah, that is very true. Gillis is finally caught up to Veilside. As you mentioned, tires may be dying. Now we have Jedlin and Max coming into the pits at the same time, so they might have had an incident, but there's only 5 laps left in this race.
Oh, that's a spin from Gillis! Veilside, I saw Veilside lose it there, but it seems like Veilside, well, somehow kept that Super V8 car in within the track limits, but Gillis very much reacting and unable to. That's going to be detrimental for not only his race, but his championship. As we head around this long left-hand corner, and I'm thinking, is Gillis though going to be able to take advantage of these two battling? Is Eddie looking for that outer line? Fennec blocking him off, and Eddie taking that inside line instead. Eddie up into P4, and I think Eddie is actually going to make it. And Gillis as well, taking advantage of Fennec's mistake, and Fennec drops 2 positions in 1 corner.
I got disconnected. Seems like my own internet had a massive hiccup this time, so it'll take me a sec to get back in there.
Well, luckily you left us with a great battle. Very, very close between these drivers. I wonder, can Eddie, as much as he's up into that P4 position, can he defend over these next 4 laps from the championship leader, Gillis Homan? As, oh my god, TP almost taking out Gillis Homan there. Incredibly close. If Gillis hadn't have braked there and given himself a worse exit, that would have been absolutely detrimental to his race, and that would have him gone from bad to worse.
What did you say? TP's involved?
Yeah, TP a back marker almost taking out Gillis Homan there.
Huh. Well, he's getting very close to Eddie now. He's gonna have to watch out that he doesn't impede these guys, because he is not on the same lap and should not be racing them. Oh! Yeah, that looked pretty hairy.
Yeah, Mats though is about a second and a bit back, and it looks like the whole field is starting to massively spread out. The closest battle on the track right now is Gillis Homan versus Eddie. So whether we can get a little bit of fire out of this and entertainment, let's hope we can as they head into the penultimate corner. Gillis very much trying to redeem himself for making that crash earlier and trying to gain on Eddie through that corner. It looks like that he has, but towards the back, is this battling?
Yes, this is Jedlin v Trickster. They both just came out of the pits, and they're within about half a second of each other for P15 at the moment.
Check, so
I
P15.
think these guys are about a second apart now.
Incredibly close. Purple versus green. Silver versus white as we head into the hard braking zone.
Ford versus Dragon Ball Z. Oh, as it looks like our Dragon Ball driver Trickster has gone a little bit too deep to keep that fight going, so we're gonna go back to Gillish. Or forget that, we're gonna go take a look at Trouble because he's not too far from Fee, it seems. Shad coming into the pits now. And just look at that drifty line into turn 1. That does not look like an exact science.
Yeah, maybe Fee really struggling with his rears.
This is Trouble we're on board with, though.
Oh, okay. I'm watching the back of... Well, I've changed the camera now so that it faces the front. Yeah, Trouble very much sliding the car. And I've got to say, it might be quick, but it's definitely risky. That's for certain.
As currently also still ongoing is Gillish trying to catch up to Eddie in the final few laps of this race with an increasingly drying track. It's still raining a little bit in certain sectors, I think, so the tires won't be bone dry yet, but you can absolutely bet that these things will be overheating like crazy, as that's... I mean, we're seeing practically everyone drifting all over the place now.
I've got to mention this.
Hold on, Sfee's in trouble. I think. He's going slowly, right?
Yeah, I believe that is Trouble passing him.
I wonder if maybe they had some sort of incident and he decided to let Trouble go through, or maybe he's trying to save fuel or something.
Potentially, I mean, you can just see... Oh, his rears are absolutely cooked.
Oh, and we've just missed the Gillish overtake on Eddie, but Eddie's not giving up just yet.
Come on, Eddie. Let's see if we can get back past him as we head down into corner 2. I wonder, can Eddie get a better exit than Gillis? Go through this fast round. He's going to be in the slipstream.
Well, we've seen people avoid the slipstream around here for some reason, so...
Yeah, and
again, decides to not use it.
I don't think, actually, that's slipstream. I think that's genuinely tires, because what I've noticed over these last 3-ish laps is I've noticed a dry line forming.
Well, yeah, but I mean, people on that straight are all taking different lines to try and avoid being in each other's slipstream for some reason. If there'd be a dry line, you'd have everyone on the same piece of track.
Yeah, but I think the right-hand side is not the racing line, so that's going to be, the wettest section of tracking. Eddie...
Ooh, just look at that slide.
Very much getting close. These changes... I mean, it's almost dry on the track. I'd say it's almost ready for soft compounds.
The puddles would beg to differ.
But it seems if even if you were to make that change now, it would not be worth it.
Hold on, who is that going slowly around the track? Is that Trickster with issues? Yes,
yeah,
it is.
Trickster letting the leading lap cars fly by and not hindering them whatsoever, as we see.
And that's another spin. Is that TP? Just ahead of these guys in the final corner. So TP and really struggling. He's about 20 seconds behind Diener now in last place, not having his best race, and that brick wall has seen an impact. As we go back to this fight for P4, Eddie still not giving up on Gillish, and Gillish not able to pull away. They're a good 6 seconds behind Veilside in P3, so a podium does not seem to be on the cards for either of these two. So this is all about the points for P4.
Yeah,
it must be said as well, Kays has really held on to that lead, despite all the pressure for Mats, who's come within a second of him on many, many occasions this race, and then dropped out and came back to within that gap. But he's, yeah, he's held on and not made any overly large mistakes that would let him through. As
talk about mistake. Oh, there's a bit of contact between the two drivers. Oh, that's a spinning alley.
Yeah, giving us some extra stuff to look at there, but yeah. Gillish was going so slowly through that corner. We see, oh, what is happening here?
Whoa, my Jesus!
Was that Svi? Hold on.
That is Svi.
What on earth was Svi doing? That was one of the most dangerous things I've seen in a long time.
His rears are cooked. His rears are gone.
As he does an Ellie there, but I don't see why he'd be so slow on the straight. As I think Veilside, sorry, no, Eddie going around the outside of Gillish now.
Can he do this? It's going to be a bold move. He's on his contact now, both off.
That was very, very unnecessary. I think Gillish might have pinched him a bit too much there, but wasn't the best camera angle. Oh, that is painful for Eddie.
I wonder, is that going to leave Eddie compromised to Fennec? You can see Fennec in the background gaining and gaining and gaining.
Yeah, he's got to get past Ellie first. Ellie changing lines in the middle of a corner. I know they're trying to let Fennec by, but not the best move there either, as Fennec also clearly struggling on cooked tires.
Yeah, I don't think Eddie's going to be happy about that one bit. That is going to be a penalty. Well, no, a steward's verdict in the making there. I don't think Eddie's going to be too happy about that, especially on the second last lap, where he had a chance to get ahead and defend on this last lap, as we are now on it with Fennec.
And we've just lost TP. Unfortunate to have that happen in the final lap of the race, but I do think he was a full minute off of Diener by this point, so he probably didn't quite feel like finishing that anymore. And I did want to mention as well, Ghost left the session earlier, said his nerves are more important and that he just could not keep that car on the track in this weather, which, yeah, I mean, it's good to not be a danger to others on the track, but it might be better to stay in the lobby to avoid a steward's inquiry.
I mean, I got to admit, this is why I'm not racing, because the amount of concentration, especially in this weather conditions, but if you got a wheel, and with the amount that the car is moving and turning, ooh, I thought there might be potential contact there, but with the amount that the wheel is turning and how much you're flicking it, my wrists would be dead by the end of it, and I'm a controller player. So
hold on, Svi seems to be glitched in the timings, but I think he's in P18. That his race has gone completely down the drain. I am shocked at how badly that car seems to be handling right now.
I mean, it just looks as if his rears are completely gone. I don't know what he's done properly.
Mats might be letting someone unlap themselves if he doesn't watch out, but Keza has now won the race, led from start to finish, a dominating performance from him. Mats brings it home into P2 after having challenged for the lead all race. Veilside bringing it home in P3. A little distance away. I believe he had an incident maybe with Gillish earlier that could have cost him some time. It was around about the time when I lost connection myself, so not too sure. Gillish now bringing it home in P4. Steward's investigation definitely pending on that move on Eddie, though, so he brings it in P5. 7 seconds ahead of Fennec. Has something happened to Fennec?
Is that Ellie doing Cuckoo is there? Very, very close to them. Across the line. Oh, Cuckoo almost loses it. Very much trying to get on that power to overtake Cuckoo. To overtake Fennec, sorry.
Yeah, very, very valiant attempt there, but X is now crossing the line in P8. Escher leading Mammoth in P9. This could still change. There's 1.5 corners left to go.
Yeah, one mistake on any of these corners, just losing that rear end could leave them exposed to Mammoth, but it looks like they're making it safe. But Mammoth's actually got a mega run, and can they get them across the line? Oh, they do!
That was one heck of a finish, but it seems the stream is very far behind now because, yeah, I think it's either... Yeah, I think the stream might be about half a minute behind for me, so that is quite strange. In the meantime, though, I think Xevious has finished P11. Trouble tiptoeing in the final corner. What's going on with him?
Yeah, it seems
maybe
like...
just recovering from a spin there.
It seems like a lot of cars suffering massively with their rear tyres tonight. Trouble and, well, especially Svi. I mean, you saw how much his rear end was leaving.
Ooh, someone said they were on slicks.
But Ultimate K's, though, is going to win the first race of tonight with Matt in P2, unable to pressure Ultimate K's into a big enough mistake. Vilside in P3, Gillis in P4, Eddie P5, Fennec P6, Cuckoo P7, Exus P8, Wild Mammoth in P9, Asher in P10, Trouble P12, Shad P13, Max in P14, Jedlin P15, Ellie P16, Trickster P17, Svi in P18, Dean in P19, TP No Control in P20, and Zumruk in P21. The last two both retiring from the race.
Yeah, unfortunately missed that Zumrock retirement there. However, we have 3 different people who said a 53.7. So it was extremely close for fastest lap. I think Matt's barely got it by a hair. But yeah, that was quite their first race. We had some people saying they ended up pitting because of lockup. So definitely some people trying to fix their tire issues. And I believe Jedlin, one of the people who switched to slicks, and said that sectors 1 and 3 were pretty much undrivable on those tires.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to think, looking at the intro quickly, did we commentate to cast anyone?
I believe we had one commentator curse fairly early on.
Okay, I'll make sure to add that. So we're now at 11. Jesus, we are horrible people, Martin. I'm kidding.
I haven't dished out any curses tonight. It's all been you so far.
Well, what's their loss is definitely our gain for for the stream at least. So yeah, these next couple races, this next race is going to be slightly different conditions. The last race having, if I can find it, yeah, the last race there being wet. Being medium rain, then light rain, then heavy cloud. This one is just going to be light rain and then medium rain. So it might actually be getting heavier. We might see some drivers potentially overdoing their tyres at the start and then their tyres getting into more of a temperature as the second race goes on.
Now, for all 13 people currently watching, do please bring out your wallets because the bets for race 2 are well and truly live right now. We've still got no one betting on a safety car chance. A couple people have said there won't be any, so if they are wrong, you do stand chance to gain some good old Niz money. In the meantime, some people saying that their rears were on fire. I believe Veilside apologized to Gillish, so I guess they did have a coming together there. And TP said he had 100% damage on the rear of the car from lap 4 onwards.
I mean, I did notice that he had actually turned that car into a sedan at one point, with that rear wing being completely yoinked. I will use the word yoinked because it completely flew off the rear of his car and he had none of that rear downforce left.
Yes, that is definitely not ideal when you really kind of need downforce to avoid flying off of the many medium and high-speed corners on this track. As you said, though, the changeable conditions pretty interesting. Some people still not sure about their tire choice for race 2, so that just goes to show how difficult it is out there. If after a whole race like that, with all those tire troubles, you still don't know how to improve on that for race 2. It's a challenge, and these people don't have any engineers. They don't have any real teams behind them. We do have a teams championship, of course, but that's just 2 drivers working together on their own.
Indeed, and I've got some absolutely devastating news right now. I've run out of Red Bull.
I suppose it is time to
Coffee time.
No. See, you've already shilled for one F1 team. I think now's the time to grab a nice juicy steak dinner.
A steak
to celebrate steak F1 team.
Oh, I mean, I will admit, their livery, I'm not biased when it comes to green, the colour green, but it does look nice with that bit of green in it. I'm happy there's a livery with...
That's not what you told me earlier.
Well, I'll be honest, it would look nicer if it was white, but the fact that there's green in it...
That's racist.
Yeah, so I'm kidding. I'm
Nismo
kidding.
exposed. Someone clip that, please.
No, but I do think it is quite an amazing livery. I mean, I'm not going to call them Stake F1 team. They're Alfa Romeo or Sauber. They're not Stake F1 team.
Well, they're not Alfa Romeo anymore. They pulled out.
I heard that before. No, okay. It's close enough. They got the same color scheme. It's almost the same car.
Since when does Alfa Romeo have a green-black color scheme?
Well, it's black and red, right? Black, red, and then that tinge of green.
No, that was last year's car. That was when they still had Alfa Romeo.
Have I been looking at the wrong? Hold on. I'm bringing up right now.
Have you been looking at the wrong car this whole time?
Stake F1 team.
I think this disqualifies you from being in charge of the tier list.
Images. Here we go. Wait, hang on. This looks a lot different then. Wait, hold on. Yeah, is this the... It's got red and... I'm not mistaken. It's got red and...
Put it up on stream. Put it up on stream.
Let's bring it up. Am I mistaken when I show this livery? I'm also going to keep my camera on so people can see me. Is this not it? Also, it's an amazing... This works really well with my background, I've got to say.
That is not it. That is last year's livery.
Is that See, I never noticed... Okay, so hold on. Is this it?
Hold on, you're about half a minute behind on the stream, so it takes a while for it to update. Yes, those pictures are the new car.
This is the new car.
It's the new livery on the old car, I assume.
You're 100% sure?
Yes, I watched the launch live. So.
Best car on the grid. My 100% support. Black and green is exactly for my F1 career modes. Yeah, this is basically my livery.
So there you have it, folks. Nismo is an undercover employee of Stake
so
F1.
Maybe, for those who do not know, I am a Red Bull fan. I know. Don't attack me. Oh God, I've just been asked to drink by Eddie. But
oh yes. Speaking of Red Bull, what are your thoughts on the allegations?
Yeah, what with Christian Horner? Oh God, we're going into some deep stuff. Look, I genuinely find it upsetting because this is very much a controversial subject because I'm not a Red Bull fan because of Max Verstappen. I'm not a Red Bull fan because of Sergio Perez. I'm a Red Bull fan because of Christian Horner. And if these are true, this is going to I might actually become a 100% Stake F1 team supporter because if they're true, then Jesus Christ, man, you need to sort yourself out.
I mean, I don't think it'd be that big of a switch, to be fair. You've already got the Stake F1 colors on the stream.
Yeah, I mean... It's just the merch... the merch is going to be cool, actually. Oh... The merch. Ay. I need to stop. I'm gonna get too happy looking at this. I'll say that for certain.
If you buy merch from Toto Wolff, it'll be merch 80s. Wait, actually, do we have a soundboard in the commentary booth?
We might do, but I've got it. Hold on. Let's.
Yeah, we should turn that on. I think that'd be great for well-timed jokes.
Let's see if I can.
Oh, we should probably put the game
back
my God,
on,
yeah, because we do have qualifying.
Yeah, it is in fact qualifying. So let's. For those who are unaware of this format, this is now. We're not doing a normal 15-minute qualifying session for this second race. It's going to be a private qualifying session where none of the drivers on the grid can see each other for this qualifying session. They've got only 5 minutes, so in a way it's sort of a one-shot qualifying, and what these drivers are going to be doing is considering whether it's worth risking it to go for that super fast lap, or whether they might lower their driving skill just a bit so that they are quick but not their full potential, but also won't have to risk spinning the car.
Well, they have a full 5 minutes to go about it, so I think even if they spin, they probably still can do another lap if the tires aren't too angry after 1 or 2 spins, but Definitely seems like Hayes is trying to keep the pace in there, although I'm not sure if he's actually on a timed lap yet, because it does take a while to get around this track to start your first lap, of course.
Yeah, indeed. And let's just make sure he's taken. You can see that puddle there isn't that big yet compared to what we saw in the last race.
Mats has a warning for track limits.
Ooh, what Ultimate K's did you say?
No, Mats.
Matt, okay. Well, I'm pretty sure this should be everyone's out lap. And will probably be their second lap. For some drivers who might have spun actually on that lap, it might actually be their last considering when they cross the line. But let's go on board with Ultimate K's and watch his lap time. He goes a bit deep in, but then cuts in. Well, I'm hoping he cuts in, yeah, to get a better exit out of the corner.
I just want to say real quick, Eddie just came into the pits. He's not going to have a lot of time to set a lap if he even still can get around fast enough.
He's going to have to send it on his out lap, I've got to say. So I think a lap around here will probably be about 2 minutes, maybe a bit more potentially.
Well, there's 2 minutes and 6 seconds left on the clock, so he's got a lot of work ahead of him. No one set a lap yet, but I'm sure most people will be setting one after this attempt.
Into the heavy braking zone, braking just before the 150 marker, and absolutely nailing that apex. Ultimate K is getting a great exit as well. Going to be lining the car up on this left-hand curb, coming into this hard right corner.
See if he goes deep at all. Does avoid the curb and definitely using a lot of the track. Could be an optimal line because in these conditions you often can't really hold that much. Oh, speed in the corners as he loses the rear end but keeps it under control. Yeah, as I was saying, you can't really keep too much speed in these corners here. You got to rely more on the slow in, fast out principle, as he kind of lost it in a bit of a kink there. That's going to have cost him a significant amount of time, so chances aren't looking too great for pole so far. First people to set an actual lap are Mammoth and Ticklish, so maybe their out laps counted as an actual lap. Could depend on their positioning in the pit boxes. But yeah, so far Mammoth on provisional pole with a 2 minute 0.9 seconds.
Ultimate K's though could change the outcome as he comes storming across the line with a 152.
Yeah, so that beats Max by 2 seconds. Gillish is within a tenth.
Incredibly close. And these both Ultimate K's and Gillish are going to be pushing on this lap as well. They want to get those extra tenths, especially Gillish. Gillish needs that extra tenth to beat Ultimate K's and get that pole position.
Well, Veilside's in the pits, so are Escher, Xevious, and Svi. Svi having a horrible qualifying, so maybe some other issues going on there other than tires. Escher and Xevious won't go any higher than P5 and 6. Veilside's in the pits. He's been overtaken by Fennec and now P3 and still on the track, so those guys are going to be setting more laps, not Veilside. He's got a maximum position of P4. Matt's still on the track, but he's in P5, 1.4 seconds off the lead. Not a great lap, but not too far down the grid either.
Yeah, Ultimate K's very much got the provisional pole, but we know how quick Gillis is, the championship leader, currently under threat by Ultimate K's. If Ultimate K's wins,
struggling again in the same corner as last lap.
If Ultimate K's wins this race, I believe he could potentially be tied with Gillis for that top position, as Gillis won the last 2 races at Brasilia Alta, and now Ultimate K's, if he wins these 2, they could be very, very close going into the 3rd round.
He's half a second down on his lap, though. It's not looking good for this qualifying lap. We're going to go on board with Gillish as soon as Keza finishes this one.
Accelerating as much as he can. It looks like he's absolutely nailed the exit, though, across the line. Does he improve anymore?
He does not, so we'll go on board with Gillish, also about to cross the line. And he doesn't improve either, so top 2 remain as they were. Fennec stays P3 as well. The track may be getting wetter. That could be why you're seeing practically no one improve, though.
Oh,
as
Eddie!
I believe Eddie, though. Yeah, Eddie going into P5, so that's a good effort from him. 1.1 off the lead. Max has gone into P9 as well. I think Cuckoo managed to get into P10.
Now, I know we're not counting commentator's gift, but that was definitely one for Eddie if I ever saw one.
That's a potential idea for next season.
No, I mean, they're very rare. I mean, that's the first one I've seen in years. But it's going to be Ultimate K's taking pole. Gillis behind him. Fennec in P3. Amazing qualifying. Veilside P4. Eddie P5. Matt not having as good as a qualifying as he did in the first one in P6. Escher P7. Exevius P8. Max P9, Cuckoo P10, Mammoth P11, Ellie P12, Exus P13, Zumrock in P14, Trixer in P15, Jedlin in P16, Ticklish in P17, Trouble in P18, Svi in P19, and Shad at the back of the grid in P20.
Now, I just had a look at the lap times of the top two, and it was interesting. I think Keza was the only driver to get a sub 40 in Sector 2, and he kind of wiped the floor with people in the first one as well, but he lost almost a full second to Gillish in the final sector. So again, big pace differentials between sectors here. Gillish, with a better starting position, could go for an early move on Keza. He typically has some pretty ambitious starts to his races, but if Keza can hold on long enough, I can see him driving away on this one.
Yeah, I mean, we've saw the pace that he had, but whether Gillis can unlock something extra, I mean, he was very much, I think he was down in P6, he qualified last time, so I think Matt and Gillis actually swapping qualifying positions. And
yeah, but I'm more confident that Matt is going to be able to overtake people around here, because we saw Matt practically stick with Keza and his pace for the whole race, and Gillish kind of just struggled for 3/4 of the race.
I mean, these lighter conditions could cause differently, but yeah, very similar conditions, and whether Ultimate K's could lead this pack away and essentially win both races from the start to finish without even losing P2 position.
Rigged.
That's what a lot of drivers would think if he were to win this championship again and get that. What would it be?
That would be a third consecutive title.
Yeah, a third consecutive. Yeah. A third consecutive. There we go. Third consecutive title for the MSR group. Him being the organizer as well. So seems a bit. I'm kidding. This is all.
Tinfoil hat time.
That's your job.
Getting the formation lap underway now, and some other outliers in qualifying as well. Svi really down the field, maybe a bit frustrated during that qualifying session after how badly his first race ended, which has unfortunately caused his second race to start pretty poorly as well, down in P19. Trouble also not having the best of qualifyings. I believe he's typically not the strongest qualifier because he uses qualifying as practice, but I think he actually qualified pretty decently in race 1, didn't he?
Yeah, I think qualifying, maybe I can check where people qualified, if I have a look at... Oh, I cannot remember, and I can't see. But yeah, I do remember though, you are completely correct. Trouble was very much up in those top 10 for qualifying. At least he made his way up there in the race as well. So maybe, I mean, if he didn't start in that top 10 position and he made those positions up in the race, that we could be seeing him make up even more positions and show his true race pace on this track.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. And it seems like the drivers we lost last race to I guess car control issues, Ghost and TP not present in race 2, so they've clearly had enough for the night as well. So they're going to be missing from this race. Only 20 people this time. It's still a nicely sized grid as we are about midway through the lap. Definitely trying to keep the tires warm, so not worried about overheating yet, it seems.
Yeah, though, Gillis in the background, not warming his tires, doing the Kimi Räikkönen move, just coldly warming up his tires. He doesn't need to warm up his tires. He knows what he's doing. But yeah, Gillis though, he's going to be wanting to get that jump on Ultimate K's. I mean, Veilside was, I believe, actually qualified P2 behind Ultimate K's and instantly got jumped by his teammate Matt. So whether Gillis could potentially get jumped by Fennec or find enough veal side on that second row behind. It's all to be seen on the restart.
I would be very, very surprised, because Gillish is typically the guy who does the jumping on people in lap 1.
Yeah, I guess his aggressive driving style sometimes not working out for the best, but when you're pairing with some quicker drivers, he could potentially look for a move into turn 1, or maybe into turn into turn 5 with the big hairpin braking zone.
Look at all those wipers. A beautiful dance of
now
man and machine. As they finally get going again, we've got the whole grid pretty much formed up as they go through the final little turn complex, and then we're gonna get this race 2 underway.
Yeah, 2 by 2, 10 rows of cars. Ultimate K's leading them away for this second round. When is he going? Oh, there's already spun! And Ultimate K is leading them away, getting a great start. And Fennec as well, getting an amazing start down the inside of Veal's side, keeping that P3 position and almost looking for a move on Gillis up ahead. Has everyone made it through nice and cleanly? It looks like most people have, except for the unfortunate... Oh, 3 wide! That's Jedlin.
Wow.
I think that's Jedlin, Zumrock, and Exus.
Yeah, Exus are absolutely getting squeezed and miraculously surviving. That could have very much been a safety car crash, but they're all still facing the right direction, except for Ellie, who's crashed twice in the space of 2 corners. Very, very unfortunate. But the battle for the lead rages on, and for P3, it's even tighter.
Oh, towards the further back, I think I saw some moves going on the way. 2 wide between Eddie and Matt coming out the corner. And I think Eddie is going to be trying to hold on to this position. But Matt, if he holds it around the outside here, is going to have the inside into this next corner.
I don't think he's going to take any big risks at the moment, but Eddie gives him the space.
Yeah, Eddie giving the space. Could have cut him up, believing him that little bit, but he's going to have the inside, and Matt actually almost losing it, and that allows Eddie to just slot in front of him into the next corner.
Yeah, that's where K's lost it in qualifying as well, so definitely a dangerous part of the track, as there's some more side-by-side going on there with Cuckoo and Xevious.
Yeah, Xevious got the inside, but this inside will turn to the outside.
Turn on your lights.
We'll turn to the outside for this next corner, but I think Xevious is already pretty far ahead.
Bless you. As it looks like now Jedlin versus... Who is that? Is that Exus? So they touch in the corner. I think Exus getting the better of him, but still giving space on the inside for the next corner.
Oh, and I believe Zumrock behind looked for a potential move, but that could have been actually them losing the rear a bit. And very, very, very close at the moment between all of these drivers, and that's Jedlin in the inside of Exus. But Exus able to keep it around the long way. Very close. Wow. And Jedlin almost rear-ending the back of Exus. These drivers are absolutely on each other tonight.
Yeah, they're not taking it easy one bit in these opening laps. And yeah, once the groups start to separate, it becomes increasingly difficult to kind of move between groups, and you start to run out of laps, because these are not endurance races, of course. They are very much sprint races. We're on lap 3 of 17 now. Technically lap 2 with the formation lap, but yeah, still battles going on up and down the grid. And a look there at the hairpin.
Yeah,
Shad thinking about it.
Oh, but it looks like Shad almost getting out, and Zumrock almost losing the rear end. I think that is actually them losing the rear end and losing the position to Shad there, due to just spinning their rear wheels a bit too much. Very unfortunate for Zumrock there. And Max now looking for the move on Escher. Going through these next corners, unless Escher just made the move, but these are very, very
I think
close.
That's Eddie off the track. That's Eddie off the track in his battle with Mats. He's lost the position.
Oh, and Team Deddy seem to be losing positions, and that's car off out of corners 10.
It's Jedlin again.
No. Oh, and they're 3 wide.
Coming back on. Oh.
Very, very close between all the drivers. Jedlin's going to have the inside going into this sharp hairpin. Actually, never mind. They're going to be staying behind. Never mind. They're going to put it down the inside. They are, in fact. and they're going to try regain that position, but they're a bit deep, and that could leave them compromised to Zumrock, and it has in fact, and almost leaves them compromised to Trouble if Trouble didn't have that slide out of the corner.
Oh, that's some great racing right there. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful to see. Everyone just kind of picking a different line and switchbacks absolutely everywhere. So really nice to see people racing cleanly. We've still got the entire top 13 within 10 seconds of the lead, and we're several laps into the race already. So that is very, very nice. So far, I think Ellie and Svi, again, just not having a great time in the rain. So he's going to be looking forward to the dry races we're going to be having later on, and this whole pack is just still on top of each other. I've
got to completely agree with you, by the way. The racing compared to the first race and this race, it seems as if it's a whole nother standard. It's incredibly close, and I think one mistake by any of these drivers in the top 10 could very much be you losing all your positions all the way down to P12 potentially.
Absolutely. So any mistake can be very, very costly here. We're currently still only 4 laps in, so still all to play for pretty much. If there's a safety car, it could bring the field back together, but we didn't see any in race 1. Jedlin losing the car again, so he's definitely one of the people struggling most in these conditions.
Big contact,
and with his
more
rejoins.
spinning.
Yeah, not entirely sure whose fault that was. The camera was at a very bad angle there, but yeah, unfortunate for Jedlin. He's going to come out just ahead of Svi, if I'm not mistaken.
It looks like there is a battle up the top, I think, towards the front of the grid. I can see some drivers extremely close to each other. Yeah, this battle going into lap 5. We've still... Oh no, Xevious!
Xevious joining his teammate in having not the greatest of evenings there, unfortunately, but this fight's still going on between Escher and Max for P8.
Yeah, Escher there trying to pressure Max into a mistake, just trying to poke his nose.
Sorry, Trickster now in the pits, and Ticklish has spun as well.
Very unfortunate. I think Trickster was the one who got involved with the crash with Jedlin.
Svi coming in as well now, so I've got to wonder, have some people had a crash, or is this already people having trouble with their tires and trying to go on a different compound? We have lost someone now. I believe that's Ellie out of the race. No, Ellie's still in.
Something I've also got to mention quickly is Ultimate Case has in fact made it out of the 1 second gap between him and Gillis Homan. So that might be a little bit
out of that thing. It's been a bit of a pendulum there, but it does seem to be in both races. We have drivers, especially the top ones, kind of staying within about a second of each other, and sometimes kind of coming in and coming back out of that gap again. So I'm not sure if it's maybe dirty air keeping these guys away from each other, but they're struggling to really stick to each other's bumper.
Oh, Fennec properly sliding the car there, and someone going...
Is that Matt's off the track?
That is Matt's.
He's done an Eddie, and now he's going to lose a position to him as well, maybe? No?
No.
Not on this occasion.
Not able to, but Max making a move on Cuckoo, I believe. I think I saw Max either move up or down. I definitely saw something happen there.
Well, they're about a second ahead at the moment, but Gillish and Kay's within a second. Fennec and Veilside very close as well.
Yeah, this top group's still extremely close, and let's hope that we get all these battles as Veilside pressuring Fennec there. Fennec.
Yeah, having a look down the inside, but not quite going for it.
Yeah, I think if we look at round 1, Fennec wanting to get another P3 position, fine enough. In that second race as well, in Brasilia Alta, he got P3. And can he do it again in the second race on this wet track here in Rio, in Terminus de Rio Hondo?
And look, he's actually staying in the slipstream, so he's going to be having better straight line speed for a potential move into the hairpin. He's braking later.
That's very late braking, and his car is very much... He's pushed his car down the inside, and that is an absolute legitimate move as Fennec gave him the space, but Fennec coming back and has the inside for corner 6, but can Veilside chuck it up the inside going into corner 7? Very, very close between these two. Oh no, and Fennec almost losing the rear. I thought he was gone completely there. And Mats as well.
Couldn't quite see the back end in that frame, but his car looked very much like it was about to fly to Narnia. But yeah, still keeping it under control. I think he gave maybe a little bit too much space to Veilside there. He probably didn't quite expect him to go for a lunge. And with that kind of gentlemanly driving, you'll just be inviting them through as Mats is the next one to have a look.
Yeah, VR46 Racing Crew are very much sandwiching Fennec right now and trying to take all his positions that they can. Fennec going a bit deep into that corner. I'm wondering, might Veilside try to back Fennec up so that Mats can make the move so they can get those points as we head into corner 1. Very hard braking as it some cars.
They've gone deep. That's giving Mats a chance, but they've got the better exit.
Oh, you can see Fennec absolutely fighting the car on exit there.
Now X is having a look at Asher as well, and I just want to mention, I think the 2 drivers we've lost so far in this race were Jedlin and Max's teammates, so they seem to be out of this race. We're down to 18 drivers now.
Yeah, I believe Tricks are very unfortunate. But Matt's a bit further away than I think he might have liked, but still within 5/10 of Fennec, so he's got to try and gain those couple more tenths if he wants to look for those moves, if he wants to look for those dives into the corner. And it seems like the weather is very much lighting up. It seems to only be a little drizzle as it stands, and I think a lot of the drivers right now are going to be hoping with these wet weather tires that the rain is going to start to pour a bit more as it's scheduled to do.
And the gaps are just kind of jumping all over the place. I'm seeing people get very close on the minimap in practically every corner, so having to hop around the grid, see where the overtakes are possible. And it seems like we could be seeing one here for P10.
Ooh.
Exus on Asher has gone deep.
And that's also Shad potentially going to be looking for another move. But yeah, Exus making that move down the inside. Escher losing his rear, going into that corner and unable to defend from Exus. And Shad as well getting an absolutely amazing corner, getting all the way up into the rear end of Escher, and could potentially be looking for a move going into this next corner. As we have
Could be going for a switchback if Escher goes towards the outside, but they defend the inside line, so it's good defensive driving here.
Max
parking it on the apex.
Max now in the pits. He was in P8 and now is going to drop from P8 to P9, very far down the grid. Very unfortunate for him. Zumrock, I think there was a bit of contact. Don't know, his car definitely jolted a bit.
Hold on, Shad now even closer to Escher than he was before. Also, that Exus overtake on Escher definitely counts as a curse, so we got to add another one to the pile.
Shad looking for this move here. We know how much better on braking he is in turn 2. He's always gaining and gaining, especially yeah, into that turn 2, and he gets such a nice exit. But the question is can he do anything in the slipstream? Will he dive? Oh, if I can. Will he dive them going into this next corner? Braking before the 150 meter mark. And the sky as well starting to get a lot darker as the rain starts to get heavier. And some of these drivers with really hot rear tires are going to be absolutely thanking the heavens right now that that it's getting wetter and that their rear tires are going to start cooling down, and just they might start be able to control the car a bit better. That was completely bonkers grammar there. Completely ignore that statement. But that looks like Shad
now going for a move on Escher around the outside. Is he going to brake later and try to hold it around there, or is he going to go for a switchback? It's going to be the latter. Yeah,
the switchback almost working, but Escher holding on for another lap. Unless Shad looks for a move going into this penultimate corner.
Hold on. We've got Mats trying to go around the outside of the final corner.
Oh, and he has!
Wow, what an overtake.
Yeah, absolutely. Just able to plant that throttle going through that left kink. I mean, it's so easy, especially if you hit the sausage curb, to especially in these cars, to make the car unstable. And it's so easy to just lose the car and sometimes
trouble
yourself.
pitting
I'm kidding. But a lot of drivers gonna be struggling. But
Escher and Shad though.
Escher wanting revenge, wanting that P10 position. Can he get it back as they go flying through this right-hand kink? I think both drivers taking it a bit nicer. I know Escher definitely, you hear him lift off a bit just so he doesn't spin.
Look how dry this part of the track is though, and we have multiple people coming into the pits again, so I'm wondering, is the rain really starting to come down, or is that just in one sector?
I mean, coming out of this hairpin here, you can see how much heavier the rain is.
Yeah, but there's just no spray on these cars that I can see.
Yeah, I mean, I would no way put it past people having dry tires on. That would be absolutely insane.
Well, and this sector is really where it starts to get wet. You can see whole clouds coming off of them now.
It's like a completely different track. Where are we racing? The Nordschleife, where it's completely different climates in different areas?
It seems like it, because we've already lost the spray again, so maybe people gambling on tire choices there with those pit stops. I just want to say as well, a bit of Fennec appreciation there, because Mr. Consistency is his nickname, not Mr. Speedy, and he's still within 7 seconds of the lead, and we're halfway through this race already.
Yeah, indeed. Fennec having great qualifying, lost 2 positions, but he's fighting the likes of Max Vilside and Gilles Thomas, who's doing a great job up in that P5 position.
And hold on, Matt, now on the offensive against his teammate.
I do wonder, are there going to be team orders? I mean, I don't expect there to be any team orders between these two, because these two are very quick drivers, and I don't think they're going to give any margin between each other. But Matt, onto the back of Veilside.
I think you should let him go, because Veilside's let Gillish drive away. Gillish has let Keza drive away. Matt has been working his way up through the field, getting position, so he might have the pace needed to close that 2 to 3 second gap to Gillish in P2. They've still got 7 laps left in this race. If these guys wasted on a fight, they could be costing their team some valuable points.
On top of that, you got Fennec and Eddie and Mammoth in the background. So if you are completely right, if these two start battling, not only are they going to lose that time to Gillis ahead, but they could also invite more battling between the groups behind, with Fennec and Eddie and Mammoth potentially, worst case scenario, turning this into a 5-way fight, or even worse, these two teammates taking each other out.
Yeah, which would be incredibly disastrous for the championship standings, as these guys are some of the top contenders we've currently got in this season. The two behind very close as well. Eddie trying to get a move on Fennec. Nothing quite going yet though, as it seems like Veilside's gone deep, or is he just letting his teammate through?
Oh, it looked like he went deep. It looks like he's touched grass, and that is going to be very unfortunate, because those two in the drivers... Ooh.
Oh, that's Eddie off! He's done the same thing Xevious did earlier, but now that there's a lot more rain on the track, so it seems like it's not quite helping his tires enough yet. Definitely not good for his race. He's 18 seconds off the lead now, Eddie.
But yeah, as I was saying, in the Drivers' Championship, Veilside and Matt only separated by 6 points each. So these 6 points could be very much critical as it would currently stand between them, just including this race, of course. Yeah, Matt's would be very much gaining an additional 3 points and closing that gap, if not already, from him beating Veilside in the race before.
Speaking of closing that gap, Max looking pretty hungry to get past Xevious. His last lap was about 3/4 of a second faster, so he's got a good chance of making it into that P12 position.
Yeah, indeed. Xevious at a disadvantage, not having his lights on. Everyone knows that turning on your lights gives you at least another 100 horsepower minimum, and also, you know, if you follow, you get another 50. Possibly.
Ooh, as Max getting very early on the brakes, they're not wanting to risk anything to get by Xevious.
I mean, right now, this group here is in no man's land. There's not a battle behind, there's not a battle in front. I think Max is thinking very much clever here and thinking he doesn't want to risk anything. He doesn't want to go for any move that he knows he can't pull off. As that's Xevious going deep, and can that in fact allow Max to pass Xevious without too much effort? Oh, very, very close between Max and Xevious, and I think Max has in fact got that P12 position. I have no idea if that was a commentator's curse or not, but that was very, very nicely done. And Cuckoo and Shad swapping positions. I don't know if Cuckoo has made a mistake.
Cuckoo fighting Escher now in the final corner. Ellie coming into the pits as well. Looks like Escher's going to come out on top coming into turn 1, but can Cuckoo maybe go for a switch back on the exit?
Very close between the two teammates here. Very different lines as well going through that corner.
Yeah, which may indicate that the dirty air may well be having an effect if everyone's pretty much going for different lines. Because that is, of course, one of the big things that you don't do if you're suffering from dirty air is you take the same line, because you're just going to have to shave off speed to get rid of the excess understeer that gives you. But yeah, as you mentioned with the Xevious and Max fight, they're pretty much best of the rest at this point for the people who've had significant incidents or spins, because they are a good 20 seconds off of people ahead of them.
Ooh, and I think Fennec and Vilside are actually really close on track as it currently stands. I'm hoping, yeah. As I saw their margin, in fact, go down to a tenth or two. So whether Fennec has all of a sudden got some momentum, or maybe Vilside has lost a bit, and those rear tyres are now coming into effect. I think, oh, Fennec fighting that car.
Well, forget what I said about Matt's having pace. He's 7 seconds off the lead right now. There's no way he's catching Gillish with that kind of pace.
Another battle I think we have to keep an eye on as well is, I think 2 or 3 cars back is a battle between Exa, Shad and Escher, and even Cuckoo in the background lurking. Oh, that's Escher diving it down the inside. A little bit.
Like they left the door open.
And are they going to be able to complete the move going into that little left kink? And they are. Escher up into P9, absolutely leaving Shad lacking there and just taking that inside line. And so is their teammate Cuckoo.
Oh,
Look for this, a bit of contact and a bit of rubbing between these two drivers.
I think the camera angle might have made that look a bit more dramatic than it actually was, but that is Shad leaving the door open 2 or 3 corners in a row and letting a whole team slip through. So I think he's got comparable pace. He's going to have some chances to maybe regain those places, but he's going to have to start defending a bit harder if he wants that top 10 finish.
I've got to say, I love these dramatic camera angles. If it were up to me, I would be the Netflix of this league. Trying to start absolute BS rumors to start weird rivalries.
The tinfoil hat cameras, as both drivers here losing the back end, that gives Cuckoo a good chance to make it stick in the next corner. But again, these cars just have so much torque in the rear. I'm guessing they don't have traction control because they're just really struggling to put the rear end down.
Yeah, Cuckoo wanting to get that move back on Escher, getting the power down a bit earlier. But Escher on the outside line, able to just keep the power down a bit longer as they head through this left-hand corner. Shad going a bit wide onto the rumble strip, not where you want to be, especially on the wet track, and that side is going to be completely soaked as we head towards the second hardest braking zone. Does Cuckoo look for a move? They do, down the inside of their teammate. Does their teammate leave them space? They have. And can Cuckoo potentially make the move? They're too wide going through this corner. Are they going to leave each other space? And Cuckoo around the outside, almost losing the rear end as they cross the line for lap 14. And Shad as well, looking for the move, almost being squeezed onto the grass. As Shad down the inside, overcooking it massively and going completely off, almost taking Escher with them.
Oh, what a shame. I mean, you had Escher fighting Cuckoo way too hard and ending up ruining their own exit, which gave Shad a perfect chance to get by. He had way more straight line speed compared to Escher, and Escher just couldn't really close the gap anymore because Shad was already there. And then Shad just absolutely sends it on the brakes, almost going into Cuckoo even. So that was a move that was already done, and he just kind of used the dive bomb tactic when he was already well alongside.
Yeah, up ahead for, I believe there are 2 battles going on. Mammoth versus Fennec, and Veilside still clinging onto the back of Matt's. And I wonder, have maybe some drivers been using up their tyres a bit more? There's 3 laps left, so from here it's a full-on sprint race to the line. And whether some drivers may have decided to save their tyres a bit for this extra last bit of sprint, so that they can overtake maybe the drivers who have worn out their tyres a bit more. I do wonder.
Yeah, and I mean, if I was Veilside, if I was Veilside and I would have let Mats by earlier for team orders, I'd be asking for that position back now, because Mats is clearly not going to be getting any closer to the top 2 at all. Although it did really kind of look like Veilside just made a mistake to let him through earlier though, so could well be that Mats is going to maintain that podium position and that these guys are going to come home in 3 and 4 respectively. But Mammoth getting ever closer to Fennec. It looks like his pace has kind of dropped off a bit.
I mean, looking at the team standings though, this is going to be it's going to be great for VR46 Racing Crew. Already leading the championship and getting a P3 and 4 as well. That's just going to extend their lead, but definitely no one properly knowing who the number 1 driver between them is, as Mammoth looks to be trying to pressure Fennec into a mistake, but Fennec keeps it cool and just holds his line, knowing where his exits and entrances are, and Mammoth wanting to put on all the pressure they can as they head into the next corner. Can Mammoth look for anything in these next corners? Oh my, how does he do it? I've seen Fennec almost lose this car a dozen amount of times, and normally other drivers would lose it. I mean, I know for a fact I would lose it, but I mean, I'm compared to most of these drivers, I'd definitely say I'm not the greatest. But
I mean, it's fascinating to see, because we're on board with Mammoth here, who's clearly driving the car a lot more carefully and really kind of tiptoeing it around certain corners, versus Fennec, who's just yeeting the car into the corner and drifting it through like a crazy person and somehow keeping it under control. And they're basically ticking the corners at the same speed. Like, Fennec isn't losing any time compared to Mammoth, and Mammoth isn't losing any time compared to Fennec, and they couldn't be taking these corners more differently.
Yeah, I mean, with how this track is shaped, there are so many different lines, and
Boys are going really deep this time, though.
How does he save? I mean, I know he's sadly lost the move to Mammoth, but I just don't know how he saves it. Incredible saves by
Cook is really fighting the puddles here in a fight with Exus as well. And just behind, it looks like these two are not done fighting it either. Shad has gotten past Escher off camera.
This battle very much has been close for this whole second part of the race.
And just look at how early Escher's hitting the brakes there and tiptoeing through that corner, so not wanting to put any stress into the tires there, compared to Shad, who keeps a bit more momentum in it and gets a better exit. Also, Gillish within 2 seconds of the lead now. Still about a lap and a half to go, so if Keza makes a mistake, he could still very well lose the lead, but he hasn't done anything major so far.
Yeah, heading into the hardest braking zone. Is Escher going to look for a move? They put their nose, but they don't do anything, and Shad taking a bit of a deeper line. I think maybe losing their bearings a bit because of Escher trying to point their nose in. But in fact, it's Escher though who gets the worst of the exits, and just up ahead, I think Cuckoo and Exus are very close and very much battling in these last couple laps. Very, very close between P8 and P9 and P10 and P11.
You love to see it. Oh, that is Cuckoo going a bit wide. That is not something you love to see.
Yeah, and I wonder, could this these two-way battles turn into one four-way battle in these last laps? I mean, I've been having a look, and the timings have been getting closer and closer as every lap passes. Heading into the penultimate corner and trying to get the best exit through the left kink.
Ooh, hold on. Another unlikely duo here is Trouble v Xevious now for P13 on the penultimate lap for them.
Yeah, Trouble all the way on the back of Xevious. They could be looking for a move going into this next corner. It's going to be a hard braking zone, but Trouble, thinking better of it, decides to stay behind. There's a massive puddle on the inside of that corner, so both drivers going wide there.
Yeah, it's a very, very precarious track at the moment. Everywhere is looking pretty dangerous.
And let's quickly go see if we can go back to Cuckoo and Exus. They're extremely close. Cuckoo is definitely going to be looking for a move around the outside. They try it, and they're ahead going into the corner. Are they able to slot their car ahead? This is very, very close. And Cuckoo around the outside on the final lap. All they've got to do now is keep that car in front of Exus and hope they don't make a mistake, and hope that Exus can just stay behind over these next couple laps. And we missed the move for Trouble and Xevious, but they're still
side by side,
extremely close, going, as you said, side by side into the next corner. Yeah. Xevious with the inside. Can Trouble retaliate? Extremely close to the back of his car.
It looks like that might be over for now, as the battle between Exus and Cuckoo still kind of raging on.
Fennec and Eddie.
Fennec and Eddie, yeah, that's wow. They got really close on the final lap.
Oh, extremely close. Oh, and Fennec losing his car a bit, catching it. Luckily,
oh, yeah, Fennec's had an issue on this lap. His last lap was a 2:10.
I wonder, can he manage to get the power out? It doesn't matter. And Cuckoo as well, able to finish in front of Exus. And behind them, Escher.
Oh, and Trouble spun round.
Ooh.
That's going to give the position to Zumrock. On the final lap of this race, an unfortunate end to it for him. I just want to give a quick shout out to Ellie, though. I mean, 4 minutes behind and still in the race. That is some determination.
Yeah. Honestly, staying in the race. I mean, having a very, very unfortunate, well, not even first lap technically, and even before crossing the line, and then having an unfortunate first lap straight after. I mean, their luck at the start was absolutely terrible, and I feel very, very sorry for them, and very, very unlucky there.
I've personally spun out on a formation lap before as well, and I know how embarrassing it feels, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone spin out at the start of the formation lap in race 1, and then at the end of the formation lap in race 2.
I think we're waiting for...
That is definitely a unique experience, but I'm sure we're going to have plenty to talk about after the standings come in for this race, as it's been a very eventful evening.
Yeah, waiting for that final driver crossing the line now. So it's going to be Ultimate K's to win both races tonight, getting the quickest lap as well with a 153.540. Gillis Homan takes P2, almost catching Ultimate K's at the end there, getting a little bit of pace. Matt's unable to catch Gillis, and Vilside unfortunately losing that position to Matt's as well. And Wild Mammoth overtaking both Eddie and Fennec there. Cuckoo in P8, Exus in P9, Escher P10, Shad P11, Max P12, Xevious P13, Zumrock in P14, Trouble P15, Ticklish in P16, Svi P7.
Hold on. I want to issue a quick correction. Ellie has the fastest lap of the race.
Oh my! Is that a one? Sorry,
that is a 150.6 in P18.
You know what? I'm happy they stayed now because we wouldn't have seen that if they retired or left. Ellie with a damn. I'm clapping for that. That's commitment. And yeah, Ellie, the last driver to cross the line with the fastest lap and with 3 pit stops as well.
Yeah, 3. That just demonstrates that 3 pit stops is clearly the meta for this league.
I guarantee they pitted for soft compounds or something when the rain was lighter to get that 150. And I don't blame them as well. Amazing drive by Ellie getting the fastest lap, and Trickster retiring 13 laps behind the leader to finish off the rest of the grid. I think I just saved the replay, but now it is indeed that time where we have a look at who wants to be... Oh, I need to update the commentator's curse before I forget.
Yes, I believe we had at least one more in this race, right?
Yeah, so 2 commentator curses this evening. Probably our record if you think about it. For this season at least. But we almost doubled our last season, I've got to say, and I don't know.
Wait, no, yeah, we've definitely had worse this season so far. If we're only in the official race 2 and we're at 12 already.
Yeah, exactly, when we only had 7 last time. But anyway, let's bring in the interviewees. Ultimate K's is in the interview booth, ready for interview, so let's bring him in straight away.
Welcome, Mr. Cheese. Now, that is one of the most dominant performances I've seen from you in a while. Tell me about it.
Hello. Yeah, thank you. Like, it didn't feel that dominant in the end. I mean, I guess pole 2 P1, but on both races towards the end, it was kind of close with the guys behind. So with Mats and Gillis.
Yeah, I remember in race 1, Mats, that gap between you and him, it kind of grew and then it would shrink again, and then it grew and then it shrink again. You guys were within about half a second multiple times in that first race.
Yeah, I think, like the challenge this race was a totally different one. Like, it's also where like the likes of Mats and Railside and Gillis usually have one over me, because this race was totally not about pushing every lap. Like race 1, it stopped the medium rain way too early, or not way too early, but earlier than expected, because there's still some sort of randomness to it, right? So yeah, just managing your tires there and to bring it to the end. I think tires reached like 120 degrees or something. And also race 1, the first stint was all about making your tires survive to race 2 when the actual, to stint 2, so to say, where the actual rain starts. So yeah, and I really liked that. Like, especially in race 2, every lap it was a reminder in the first sector that I have like 8 tenths to give, but I couldn't dare myself to push, because it would just ruin your tires and hurt you in the end.
So what do you think was happening in race 1 then? Do you think that was just Mats pushing his tires more, or were you making some small mistakes that allowed him to catch up a few times?
I mean, there was a bit of lapping, where I lost a tiny bit of time. But I think it was just Mats pushing too early, to be honest. Like he said, he wrote in the end that his tires are gone. And I think like 3 or 4 laps to the end, he was pretty close. And that's because he pushed, and then the gap grew again, because I think there was no tire left, I guess, at least.
Yeah, and another thing I'd like to shine some light on is, I mean, of course, you're not in the best position to maintain your racing seat this season because you made 0 overtakes this entire evening. But despite that, how difficult do you think it was to overtake around here? Because even though Mats pushed his tires pretty hard at the start and got close to you multiple times, you never quite got him moved on.
I mean, I couldn't tell, to be honest, because you probably have to talk to another guy. But I think that there was definitely opportunities, because especially in the rain, so many people took so many different lines. I especially noticed it in like the second to last corner. A lot of people stayed narrow and then rotated the car like on the apex a lot just before the last corner. Versus I got very wide And I think, if you are somewhat close to each other, that like overtakes are definitely possible. The track allowed for multiple lines to be viable.
Yeah, we definitely saw a lot of overtakes in the midfield and a bit lower down, but it seemed like the top people were all kind of, especially in race 1 and the beginning of race 2, they were all kind of just hanging around maybe 1 second to 8/10 around each other and not quite going for any lunges, so maybe the pace being a bit too similar for any good opportunities there. We also saw a lot of people pulling out of the slipstream on the main straight. Do you know anything about why they might be doing that?
I mean, it could be that for like heat reasons, that especially when the light rain conditions were, the track got quite a bit hotter. So if somebody was like close on his radiator, he might pull out there. And also, I think on at least on the main straight, the puddles were on the left, and tire temps were definitely an issue with like being way too hot. So I could also guess a lot of people tried cooling their tires by going through the puddles.
Very, very interesting. Now, we've mostly been talking about race 1. I want to round off this interview with what can you tell us about race 2? Did anything noteworthy happen in that one?
I mean, I just knew from comps, but I was very surprised about the number of people pitting. Like, because apparently so many people destroyed their tires. Like, if to put that in perspective, like in the medium rain, obviously I had a cautious style, but like a maximum tire temperature of like 96, 97 degrees. And towards the end of that light rain stint, where the track was the driest, I had like 125, 26 degrees, and I was absolutely nursing it. And yeah, so I guess some people just tried to keep pushing and absolutely ruined their tires there.
Yeah, it definitely seems like people might be a little frustrated after this one, because I've noticed our viewership and the amount of people in the ready for interview room is a bit lower than it tends to be.
Maybe.
Which race do you think people in general are looking forward to most for the rest of the season?
I mean, I think Bathurst, obviously, it is the event for these cars, also the feature race.
Oh, very true.
Adelaide next week is going to be amazing. I've never really driven that track competitively, as far as I know, and it's also basically one of the only modern championships that runs it. But yeah, like I think we have only exciting tracks left. Like Taruma, for example, will be in the night, so it will be interesting. Maybe if softs become viable or whatever, and yeah, Curitiba also a great track. Kyalami will be insane because we will have like a wet track preset qualifying with dry weather after. So we're on a drying track, we'll make an exciting quali. And also we will have Storm as the last of the 3 slots for the race.
Ooh,
so
okay.
A lot of stuff to look forward, at least.
So is that the one that actually has lightning and stuff in it?
Yeah.
All right, looking forward to seeing that in the stream again. That's been a long time coming.
I'm gonna start playing
My final
Thunderstruck.
question for you, though. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Nisma.
I was just gonna say, for that race, I'm gonna play Thunderstruck.
Yeah.
And then get copyright struck.
Oh no!
Yeah, okay, so my final question for you is, how many deaths do you predict in turn 2 at Bathurst?
I mean, you could also argue that Brasilia or like any other track could have, especially Brasilia, you have a long straight before turn 2 that a lot of people died there. And apart from my own mistake causing a safety car there in the race 2, like people kept it fairly clean. So I think with this driver field, we're gonna be fine, to be honest.
Ooh, that is a very, very bold statement, and that's not really got anything to do with the level in this league. It's just in pretty much every league I've been in, turn 2 has been a massive disaster, even in the really, really clean one. So it's one of the toughest corners of any calendar to get right in a group of 20 to 30 people. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the entire circus go through there.
Yeah. I mean, you can only hope, right?
For a safety car.
Yeah.
Like Nismo likes to say. But thanks for coming on, Kaze. It's been a pleasure watching you definitely work your way back up in the standings this evening. So we're gonna have to see
I hope so.
how much that helps your overall season. And I hope you have a good one.
Yeah, you too. See ya.
Appreciate it. Now let's bring in Cuckoo because Eddie's live streaming. We're gonna steal his only viewer.
Let's yoink her in.
Back to me. Oh, hello.
You've
Welcome.
been yoinked.
How does it feel to leave Eddie all alone in there streaming for no one?
Oh, it's very sad, actually, isn't it?
All right, let's get this let's get this interview going then. We saw quite a bit of you in race 2. Lots of battles going on there, including with your teammate. Were there any communications going on there?
Not really, to be honest. I think I've sort of already talked to Escher about it, basically, because I knew like we'd sort of be on par in these cars based on pre-season and everything. So we've sort of got a bit of a system in place, but yeah, I think he didn't really fight me as hard as he could have, because we'd spoke afterwards. He'd been cooking his tires quite badly.
Yeah, it's just put down in chat that he messed up today.
Yeah, mine are in better condition, so I think he sort of let me go a bit in those instances.
Can you tell us a bit more about the three-way fight with you, Escher, and Shad in race 2?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if that was early or later after I spun. Was that later with Exus as well, or?
I think Exus might have been the later one.
Yeah, because I know there was I was in front of the three of them. It was Exus, Shad, and Escher, and then I spun coming out of the final corner a bit. I ended up behind them, and then I had to sort of overtake the three of them again to get back to, I think it was 8th I finished. So yeah, very unfortunate there, but I sort of knew like the tyres had sort of come back to me a bit, so I got back past Escher again. I don't think he fought me that hard. I think Shad's went for a big dive bomb in turn 1 on Escher, which didn't entirely work, and then I went on the inside of them. We had a little bit of a bump, but nothing major.
Yeah, I believe we caught the great battle between you and Escher and Shad.
Yeah. So I think Shad ran into Escher lightly, and then I ran into Shad lightly. And then,
all sandwiched together.
We all tapped each other in turn 1, and then I just absolutely floored it away from both of them, and caught up to Exus, who bolted in the meantime. And then we had a fight to the death, which was really good, actually.
Also, I just noticed, Cuckoo, your teammate asking if there was no safety car. Isn't that a bit of an odd question, considering that Escher was in the race and would have definitely noticed any safety cars on track?
Yeah, a little bit. I was dazed and confused, I reckon.
It's the rain, the fog.
It's the fog of war, the rain, the mist. Yeah, no safety car, actually. I was kind of expecting some absolute clusterfuck into turn 1 or something, but
I lost some good Niz money in that.
Yeah, it never really materialised, so I think everyone was being very careful.
I think it's also partially because we've got the rolling starts now, which means that people aren't quite as close together on lap 1.
I think that helps a bit as well, yeah. No, I had a very good battle race 1 as well with Wild Mammoth. That was very close.
Yeah, I believe we caught that on more than one occasion as well. And looking at your results here, P7 in race 1 and P8 in race 2, pretty consistent. Is that around about the result you were aiming for tonight?
I think I was hoping for a top 10. I don't really try and set too many expectations for myself going into wet races, because you never know what's going to happen in them.
Very true.
I must admit, I can't help but feel slightly disappointed by it, even though it's still a good result. I reckon I could have been a place or two higher up if I'd been a little better in the races. I know race 1 I lost out to, on the line pretty much, to Phoenix. So I reckon I could have had that 6th if I didn't half spin the car out of the final corner. I think I would have just had the run, maybe, potentially.
Oh yeah, I just noticed Fennec finished right ahead of you in both races.
Yeah, and then race 2 as well, if I didn't have that half spin and I didn't have that extreme fight with Exus for as long as I did, I might have just been able to get Eddie and Phoenix there as well. So potentially some lost places there, but nothing as bad as when Richie spun in front of me in the previous round. Which,
Yeah, I believe
lost me
Richie
easily 10 points, I think, in that one. So still a good result, but I think there was maybe a little more on the table.
So are we going to see some harsher fighting against Fennec the rest of the season as your new potential rival?
I wouldn't sure I'd put it like that, but we'll see how things stack up, I suppose. I always normally have quite good fights against them.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys are some of the best midfield drivers that we've got in the league, so it's pretty difficult to predict who's going to come out on top, and I'm looking forward to see where you end up and what fights you have without crashes in the next few rounds. So
I must admit, I was kind of worried fighting Exus. I was like, don't crash into him, don't crash into him, don't crash into him. So that was like a curse for a while. Me and Exus, we'd just come together on track and it would be a big crash. I'd be like, oh my god, I've killed him again. But no, thankfully nothing happened this time, which is good. I'm redeeming myself slowly.
yeah, I mean, mistakes are there to learn from, of course, and you've already got the defending down pretty well, at least in some races. So always fun to work on your other skills as well in the racing spirit. And yeah, unless Nisma has any more questions, I believe we're going to be moving on to Eddie soon.
No, but then, I mean, you said that you could have got better when, as you said, yeah, a wet weather race, anything can happen. And I was just looking at him, and I'm like, were you outside the top 10? I'm looking, you got P8 and P7, I believe. Or P9 and P7. And
7th and 8th.
I must admit, when you were really saying like, oh yeah, I did bad, yeah, I'm like, I wouldn't even be in the top 10. You did great. I'll say that you did absolutely great. And the
Still a good result. I just feel there's a little bit that was maybe left on the table.
Well, I mean, you definitely showed us most of what was on the table. The battling with Shannon absolutely entertained us tonight, so thank you for that. And
I was entertained as well. Really good fight, really difficult on the throttle control, but I quite like that. So
yeah.
So more rain races for you,
please.
all right, well,
track record in the rain actually.
you've got a storm to look forward to later on.
Oh, do I? What race is that?
I don't quite remember, but it's going to be a thunderstorm, so you're going to have lightning in the background.
Yeah.
Storm, Kailami.
Oh. But yeah,
that'll be interesting.
Until well, next week when it's Adelaide. Yeah, we will see you next week. Well,
Yeah,
same time next week.
Yeah, more to come, I hope.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. Ta-ta.
Ta-ta, and to the next one. Now let's go ahead and bring in Eddie. He is our final interviewee for the night.
Eddie. Oh, if I can.
Eddie.
Hey, there he is.
Eddie, welcome. And I must apologize for stealing your only viewer earlier, but the ready for interview box was not quite as filled as it was usually. You had a pretty eventful race, some spins, lots of battling. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did. I had fun overall.
All right, that's the most important thing here. Oh, absolutely. Tell us about it.
It went better than expected. I went really calm in the first laps of both races, but in the end, it paid out.
Yeah, and how much practice did you get done for this one?
1 lap.
1 lap, okay.
and the hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes of the practice this evening.
Oh yeah, that counts for something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, did you feel like it was harder to control the car with the controller in the rain compared to in the dry, or was it kind of the same?
My finger are hurting right now, so yeah, it was way harder to control.
So in other words, you're saying for the next wet weather race that has storm conditions later on in the season, you're gonna switch over to keyboard?
No.
All right, so definitely got to get some finger training in for that one, because it's gonna get even worse. But which fights did you enjoy the most particularly?
I really enjoyed the fight with the Svi and Fennec in race 1. It was a really good fight until I don't know what happened to both Svi and Fennec. I think Svi got a puncture.
A puncture. Ooh.
Fennec too. I don't remember right now, but it was a nice fight until then.
Yeah, that is pretty unfortunate, and especially Svi's evening kind of went from bad to worse after that with a not greatest qualifying in race 2, and I'm just trying to see his finishing position in that race as well. He ended up P17, so only ahead of Ellie and a retired car. Have you seen who set the fastest lap this race?
The second race, I think, was Ellie.
Yes, it was Ellie.
It was with the soft tires.
What do you have to say about that complete and utter dominance, beating Case's lap by about 3 seconds?
Hey, bold choice for the first was 8 laps, 10 laps.
And another question that kind of is related to that: do you think we should introduce a point for fastest lap, regardless of position?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I
All right,
think
that's something we can bring into the stewards meetings.
with every league should have the fastest lap point. Could be fun. It could bring, especially with mandatory pit stops. Leagues could bring something interesting.
Yeah, because I think some of the faster drivers typically will get the fastest lap, but if you're at the back of the grid and you're already not really in the running for any points, or if the next person's like a full minute behind you, then you've definitely got a good chance to get the fastest lap if you go in and pit for fresh tires, which some of the leaders might not be able to do if they're too close to each other.
Yeah.
So that could definitely be an interesting element for potentially next season. So far in this league, we've had some rule changes. Of course, it's a different calendar in cars as well. Would you change anything about how this season's being done, or are you pretty happy with it so far?
Pretty happy. I mean, I think the switch from standing start to rolling start was good because of the game, but I mean.
You think the standing start was a bit too chaotic?
Yeah, especially with the syncing issues. But personally, I prefer standing start because I'm a bit better at it. But rolling start is better overall for everyone.
Yeah, definitely seems to be causing less safety cars.
Yeah.
For this race, did you have any trouble with back markers at all, or did you have a pretty safe race when it came to that?
If you want, I can show you. I have a clip. I don't know if I'll send it to you in private. Oh, I have to send it to Nismo.
Yeah, send it to Nismo so we can see it on the stream.
Let's bring it up.
A bit scary.
Here we are.
Oh, that incident, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, we caught this. This was absolutely, I think I shrieked very loud at this point. And
yeah, that was scary.
It was.
I mean, thankfully he didn't end up jerking in either direction, so he didn't really do anything horribly wrong other than being in the middle of the track when he probably shouldn't have been. But I think what made it so scary is the fact that he was there, and then he was definitely steering, but he didn't actually end up moving anywhere, and you can't really predict what's going to happen in those cases.
He's a weeping angel. He doesn't move if you're looking at him.
I didn't know if it was going to move somewhere. And I was so scared it suddenly moved right.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I'd be weeping too if I'd be going from a top 10 fight to those kinds of positions. But yeah, it was definitely a challenging race tonight. You definitely enjoyed it. Eddie, do you feel like most other people enjoyed this race tonight?
Yeah, I think we didn't get any safety cars, so
Boring.
Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be too much beef between drivers, but I'm
Yeah.
thinking some of the drivers might not have liked the conditions that much because we had some people going into the pits for fresh tires as well. They're just really struggling out there.
Yeah, it was hard. It was a certain point. I don't remember the lap. I had 115 degrees on the rears. It was very hard to keep on track.
And was that in both races?
Yeah.
Thanks. So that's yeah, pretty telling, regardless of how heavy or light the rain was.
Yeah.
These cars are challenging.
They are. They are a lot.
Now, Nisma, do you have any more questions for our final interviewee before we round off the stream tonight?
Well, apart from some great finishes, not really questions, more praise. Great finishes. Actually, I will ask a question. Looking at the standings as they currently stand, you're very much, well, 1 point difference between Cuckoo and yourself ahead by 1 point, and also Fennec ahead by 6. Would you consider, well, it's only round 2, but would you consider this sort of pack of Fennec and Cuckoo to be that sort of rivalry, as it were?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I had a really bad race, both races in round 1. But I think, yeah, they're my enemies.
Well, yeah.
What do we do with enemies?
I won't say it here.
Alright, you can go ahead and put that in a private message somewhere. But thank you very much for coming on, Eddie. It was a pleasure watching your race. We caught a lot of the battles this time. It was a little bit easier to keep track of it tonight because the game was in fact working for once. So hopefully you guys will enjoy viewing that one back later. Thanks again, Eddie, for coming on, giving us the good fights, and hope to see you have some good results in the coming races, because that P6 position in the championship is not bad at all.
Oh, I hope the result will be better. Thank you, guys.
Alright, catch you next week.
Been a pleasure. Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Alright,
After that round tonight, Gillish is leading the standings by 18 points, and Matt and Kaysa tied for P2 with 87. Who do you think's going to take it this season based off of what we've seen so far?
I mean, Gillis right now is definitely the favourite, instantly out of round 1, getting those points. And as much as didn't have that good of a first race tonight, definitely pulled it back in race 2, still coming second place, and still very much keeping that driver's, himself in first place in the drivers' championship. But something that as well that I've got to mention is Veilside and Matt, P2 and 4 in the championship. A very strong combo, literally Veilside 1 point behind Matt's and Ultimate K's as well, and they're just absolutely decimating the team standings. They're 51 points ahead of the closest person, which is funny enough the Harry Hooters, and which is Ultimate K's team, who's currently joint second place in the standings. And if they keep on bringing out performances between their team, and they keep on performing, they're going to absolutely destroy the team standings by a landslide. And if Matt's and Ultimate K's keep up their pressure that they did today, we could see a three-way battle for the lead, and Veilside, of course, four-way battle for the lead. Of course, Matt, Ultimate K's, and Gillis. I've seen this before, believe it or not, in the GT4 League. This was very much the fight again. So we got these three again, along with Veilside this time. So hopefully we're going to have some epic racing. Next week's going to be Adelaide. So hopefully that's going to cause a bit more of a challenge as it's a street circuit, less mistakes without damage. Is it without or with damage are going to be caused, and hopefully that's going to be an amazing race. Not going to be rainy, of course, luckily, but yeah, an amazing race tonight we've had, and hopefully an amazing one next week. So it's been great commentating with and I hope everyone enjoyed. So that's enough from me. Have a good night, everyone, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Good night, everyone.